got what I'm going to describe as my least favourite job is a cheap acoustic that isn't set up at all. Well, I've got massive forward bow in the neck, action on the low side sitting at 3.5mm, and on the treble side, right at 3. So, to start, I'm just going to see if there's anything in the truss rod. See if straightening the neck out can do anything for this to help it. And then just going to get on with the rest of the setup, because then these feel like 12s, and if I can get the neck straight with 12s, then I know I can take a fresh set. It's got all the other stuff you don't want to see, like a leaning saddle, things like that. Next, getting straighter. You can see it's like brass coloured threads or gold kind of coloured threads, which means it's not very good fret wire. At least in my opinion, it's not very good fret wire. A lot of people are scared of truss rod adjustments. You don't need to be. I actually might do a video where I just take a neck, crank up the truss rod one way, crank it the other way, because the necks I've got lying around are two-way truss rods, and just to show how little damage just going for it with the truss rod actually does. Well, I'll say going for it like that would be an extreme example, whereas this is just seeing where the neck goes. So I'd say that's about the right amount of relief that I want to see. That 12 thread has come down to 3mm, so it's come down 0.5mm, and that's the same 2.5. I want to drop that about 0.5mm more, and it needs to come down a lot at the nut. I'll try and get this on camera. Oh, where am I? See, Alice, I hold that thread there. Look for the gap, and that's quite considerable. I'd maybe just get away with an acoustic, but an electric that's definitely too high. But yeah, I'll take the strings off and then let the neck kind of relax. I say relax, it's going to go into a back bow by itself, and I'll just let it rest like that pretty much. So you can let me polish the frets. It's a painted fretboard, so if I can get the dirt cleaned off there, then well, I will clean the dirt off there, I should say, but I don't need to scrape it down or oil it or anything like that, because it would just take the paint off and then look horrible. Set up to polished frets. Don't have to worry about any pickups. I'm just using steel wheel as it is. This is how I polish frets. I don't go through the different grades of sandpaper. It was just to set up. Don't only do that after a fret level or refret, which, you know, you need to level your new frets. You can see how much that's shined up just from that. And that's really all you need to have the guitar playing nicely, or nicer than it was. Not sure how I'm actually going to clean the fingerboard. And just because, like I say, it is painted, I'm sure just lighter fluid on a paper towel will do it, but you know, that way you're just not entirely sure. you go. 4 zeros, 4 quadruple zero steel wheel, and done up there. So that's the difference. Just a little bit of polishing will make. Right, just try some lighter fluid, paper towel. Just see how much dirt this lifts up. A wee bit, but not enough. Not a whole lot. Come on. I don't want to be like putting lighter fluid onto the board and letting it sit, because that's a recipe for disaster. It's a bit cleaner, but not by much. Especially up here. What can you see? You can't see anything. There we go. Got this kind of stuff next to the frets, which didn't come off the steel wool. So I don't know what it actually is. These are a bit stronger. Sounds daft, but I'm going to try window cleaner. Are you coming off? It's still not lifting. Need to come up with a different plan, really. I'll leave it at that just now. Right, what I think it is, it might be a light clear coat over the black, because I scraped some of it away and it seemed to not make much of a difference. So that's the fingerboard pretty much clean. Fret ends aren't the best though. You've seen this before. I'll just do it quickly on camera this way. Just quickly get the sharp fret ends, so I'll finish up with that and come back when I'm ready for the next step. Right, set the next straight again for this next section. Just take a pencil that's halved along its length. Rest it on 3 frets ideally. And should let you draw a line to work to, which that's coming out really faded, so I'm going to just sharpen this quickly. I'll say sharpen, just get some of the actual pencil away from the lead. There we go. Hopefully this will draw. No, it's still nothing, but where's the... Oh, sorry. Pain in the bum phone. Can't find exposure settings, but there is a very faint line to work to there. Again, just take the material off, work into that line, and try and angle it towards the tuner. Because where that line is should be your absolute lowest stop. Sorry. There we go. Well, it's still a bit overexposed. Let's take the material off. Until I get close. I've got a little bit to go, but I'm gonna leave it there. Actually, no, I won't. Because the thinking is, you want to leave just a little bit. That's probably enough so that when the string goes in and you're tuning up, it will bite into it, and you want to give a little bit of extra breathing space so you're not taking it to the line and then having a bite in and immediately have a fret out on the first fret, which is always a pain. Especially with plastic. With bone you don't get it so much, at least not straight away, but with this one I wouldn't want to risk it because, like I say, it's an inexpensive little Stagg. It'll probably be sitting great when it's set up, but the fact that they let this stuff leave the factory this way, it shows that they don't really care. I'm saying that this guitar is probably like, I don't know, maybe 50 to buy new or something like that. At least they put, the owner put growers on it, so I'll help it keep in tune. Went a wee bit too far, that's almost right on the line. But I think you get the idea anyway. You just bring it down and then shape the nut. What can you see? Right, so I'm shaping the nut. You can kind of see the line. If it'll focus. No, it's not focusing. No, sorry about that. I've kind of taken it to its limit with the top three strings. I just got a lot more to do and get the curve on the front side. I'm just taking my favourite file. Bring it all together pretty much. Checking the depth of the slots to make sure I'm not doing that and taking too much off the top. Sorry. Taking the file like that. Go. And the plastic nuts, there is always like a build up of plastic around all the corners. And of course in the slots, which you just clear out. with the file. Come on, get out of there. I won't spend too much time polishing this, I'll just get the tool marks out once I've brought that shape in. Go. Yeah, and that same file that doesn't cut on the bottom edge to get the corners of the nut. There we go. Need a piece of 240 grit. Can't find any. There we go. And let's see. Why is this thing such a pain in the bum? I know you can't really see the tooling marks or anything like that, but kind of stuff like going over takes most of them out. Follow 400 grit quickly. It's probably as far as I'm going to take it. Yeah, because as I say, it's just a plastic nut. And it's just to clean the slots up. You have it, nut slotted, shaped, and very lightly polished. Oh, sorry. There you go. I actually have quite an unorthodox method of doing the saddle. I'll actually just loosen the string and bring the action down. So this is sitting at 2 3/4mm. I want to bring it down to 2.5. There's no string out the way. Coming with the nut file. And Another reason I do this is because you can see the saddle hasn't been intonated at all, and you can see the deep grooves. That's how it came. Probably from factory, but maybe from excuse me, maybe from playware as well. But if you can at least get the action down, then you can worry about the intonation later. Let's see what this is. Yeah, still not doing quite far enough. But you get the idea there. So I'm just going to keep doing this until all the strings are where I want them to be. And then I'll get the saddle out and start doing some shaping to that. Right. Very simple concept here. Just something to hold the saddle in. That's her low E, that's her high E. So basically right now it's just going to be a material removal bringing down to the bottom of these slots, and then from there putting an angle so that the top of the curve angles that way towards the G, and then steps back and angles that way for the B and E. But right now, like I say, just get it down. Not sure how well you can see that, but I've drawn some guidelines. So I can just start shaping. Also, it's still material needs to come off the top, but those two lines is where we want to end up in terms of what's actually left. And so although that's a straight line, I'm going to kind of curve it round. Right, holding the camera in my hand, that's the saddle shaped and notched, and I know you're thinking, doesn't look like anything, but take a pencil. Oops. And then, come on. Oh, there's the exposure. Right. There we go. Intonation line comes up here. Notches back and then comes forward again. Never mind that mark there. That should be where we want the compensation to be for intonation. Just got to pop it back in the guitar now. And that's this one in the back. Intonation is a lot better. It's not perfect. Sorry. As I say, not a bad sound off it at all. Now it's actually playable. So yeah, nice set of 12s on it, and action ended up being, that's looking like 2 1/4, which is actually too low for my liking. So it came down a bit too low. The high treble strings are right at 2mm where I want them on an acoustic. So exactly where you kind of want it to be here, but just a touch low on these bottom strings. But considering the frets are actually pretty horrible on this, in terms of being like the way they've been not levelled, not seated, and not crowned properly from the factory, it plays. It sounds pretty good. So that's this one done.